For more, let's cross to Vienna and correspondent Anthony Mills. Anthony, a return to lockdown, but mandatory vaccination for all. Was that expected?
It wasn't for months, indeed, since the start of the pandemic, Francois. The government here in Vienna has been at pains to say that there wouldn't be a mandatory vaccination law that applied to everyone. But what appears to have happened in the last few days is that the government has been really caught off guard by the enormous surge in cases. And following a meeting yesterday with the governors of the various provinces in Austria and a number of leading virologists and representatives of the country's healthcare and in particular hospital system, appears to have come to the conclusion that the country essentially faces disaster unless drastic steps are taken. And as you point out, we've had a series of drastic steps, a series of firsts. We had the first 2G lockdown in the world. That is the first lockdown for people who are not vaccinated. This is the first full lockdown in the European Union this fall. And indeed, the law which will be passed according to the government plans in February will be the first such law making it mandatory for absolutely everybody to get vaccinated. So very unexpected, but given the extraordinary rise in cases, we had another record in the last 24 hours, almost 16,000 in a country of just under 9 million inhabitants. It appears as though the government has been pushed into doing things that it had not considered doing until this last wave caught them so unawares.
And what have been the reactions?
There's fury in some quarters, Francois, in particular in the far right camp, the Freedom Party camp led by Herbert Kickl, former interior minister. And he's used quite extraordinary language to describe this latest development, saying that Austria is now officially a dictatorship. And he'd warned in previous days, in previous weeks, that these constituted moves towards totalitarian system and away from freedom and democracy. And that's how he's galvanized support. He's drawn support around the far-right Freedom Party by essentially aligning it with this notion of the defense of fundamental freedoms. And of course, Austria has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the Western world. We're still only at somewhere between 65% and 68%. Some people have been moved to get vaccinated by the latest developments, but the rates are still low. And a lot of people are heeding this call by Kickl and like-minded politicians to fight back, if you will. And in fact, there's a big demonstration planned for tomorrow here in Vienna. It appears as though there will be quite some turnout, and we shall see to what extent this kind of backlash continues, to what extent it crystallizes. And of course, it leads to the fundamental question, Francois, which is, how do you enforce the law that they intend to pass in February? What are they going to do to people who refuse to get vaccinated? And if there is a large number of people who refuse to get vaccinated because they really rally around this opposition core Herbert Kickl, then what exactly is going to happen? And I think the question that is posed goes beyond public health measures and goes to the very core of Austria's political and cultural system.
Anthony Mills reporting live there from Vienna.